It is episode 14 of the Handy Homebrew Show, part of our Handy Homebrew media conglomerate. Last week, Matt Paulson, we did our first ever multi-beer review.
Right.
From beers in Oklahoma.
Right. With that one surprise thrown in there.
One surprise thrown in there. It was a lot of fun. Had a great time, did that in the Handy Homebrew shop.
Yep.
You have
I gotta let the viewers know that the Yeasty Boys is a real brewery. We got a comment back from our friends from New Zealand.
And the second to last one we had, the coffee one, the Mesa Brewing Company.
Yeah.
They're in Oklahoma as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the coffee. It was the beer also from Oklahoma. So a few corrections there, but we hope you enjoyed that. We're going to be doing some more of that in the Handy Homebrew Shop. Matt Paulson is hosting Brew Day in the Handy Homebrew Shop, so we'll grab some footage for you this weekend and upload that as we get it going. Yeah. But now we're back into it. This is 14. We've brewed beer, we've made beer, we've bottled beer, we've carved beer. The beer is good. Matt Paulson, if we want to get better at our craft, we need feedback.
Right. And so the best way, I think, well, I haven't actually experienced it yet, but because my beer doesn't last long enough. The best way to do that is to enter competitions.
This is unbiased feedback.
Right. Your buddies aren't going to give you good feedback.
It's free beer, guys.
Yeah. You know, it's free beer.
It's free beer.
This is great. I can come to your house. Yeah. I can fill my pint glass out of your
I'll fill a growler. Yeah. I have buddies that'll come by just fill a growler, and every beer I've ever made has been amazing. My mother-in-law is even worse, and I hope she sees that, because every beer I've ever made, you would have thought I was the best head brewmaster in the entire world. But she just says that because she gets free beer as well. So your buddies are a good starting place.
Sure.
But if you want that unbiased feedback to improve it, or if you think there's something wrong or something you need to fix, competitions are the way to go.
Yeah.
So today we're talking competition. How to join, how to do a competition. It seems overwhelming. It's not, Matt Paulson. Okay. We're going to talk competitions today. First off, most competitions you can find the BJCP sanctioned competitions online. Just type that in, BJCP competition. You'll get calendars of it.
Yeah.
You can find local ones. You can find one. I've sent ones to Alaska before. Just for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it. And they're very nice. It's usually ran by breweries or brew clubs. They take it in for a double-blind tasting. But the way they do it is you usually fill out stuff online, and you pay about $7 per entry. It's not that much money.
Right.
It's not that much money.
The entry fee is really cheap.
Yeah, the shipping's going to cost you a little.
Right.
Few things right off the bat. You cannot ship beer through the United States Postal Service.
Yes.
You can ship perishable items through FedEx, DHL, and UPS.
Right.
So perishable items is what they are. You can ship them. So after you fill out all your stuff, they're going to let you print off a ticket. You're going to take your ticket. I'm going to explain to you the steps that I do to ensure that my 2 bottles of beer filled to about 1 inch of the neck, ready to go. Guys, this can be bottled. It can have the yeast sediment in the bottom. You can get it from the keg, however you want. Don't feel like, hey, man, this beer wouldn't win anything. Why send it in? You're not sending it in to win stuff. You might be when you get to that point, but you want feedback.
Yeah, you're wanting to know what everybody else, a true unbiased opinion.
And they will write it down for you, and we'll talk about the score sheet here in a second.
Yeah.
You take your bottle, you put your label on, take a rubber band. This bottle is going to have a gold crown cap.
Right.
And that's it. Other than your label, there's no marking. I don't have any stamping. I don't have any printing, no etching, no labels, nothing.
And, I read through a couple of the rules and regulations of a couple of the competitions that I want to enter, and they specifically state no labels, no paper, no nothing taped to the bottle. No tape.
It's a nightmare to do. If you've ever worked a competition, you just take a rubber band, you just take the label off. It's so much. It's very easy. If you tape stuff, don't tape.
You will actually be disqualified
if you do that.
Yeah.
Make sure you read your rules, because most of them follow about the same guidelines, but there are some that have weird rules in there.
Yeah.
Some competitions now aren't accepting sour beers because they're afraid of cross infection at a brewery or something. I don't really know the specifics of it, but so make sure you read your rules. Don't just assume every competition. I got about a handful of them that I like to do each year, and I kind of go to the same guys because I get to know them and send your beers in. So my label's on, it's capped, it's filled, it's everything. It can be room temperature too. Now if you send cold beer, it's going to warm up and sweat.
Right.
So let it get up to room temp before you put your label on it. So I got my beer in here. I got it capped. Now I'm going to wrap this whole apparatus in 1 gallon freezer bag. 1 gallon, just a Glade bag.
Just a Ziploc bag.
Boom, just wrap the whole thing. Why do I wrap it in there? What if I break one bottle?
Right.
I don't want both bottles to be destroyed.
Right.
You break one bottle in a plastic bag, they just throw it away. They still have one beer they can test. That's why you're sending two. It's a contingency plan. And always make sure, especially if you're an AHA member and you go to a BJCP sanctioned competition, that you have extra beers on hand in case you go to like the
even
next
further.
round. Yeah.
Right.
So if you're one of those big guys, make sure you have a couple on hand still stored up so you can send in new stuff. So I got this. I've wrapped it in my freezer bag. I'm going to wrap it 3 times in the little bubbles, and I wrap both bottles separately.
Right.
3 times. And then I put it in a box. Any box you can get. I use recycle box, and sometimes I send more than 2 beers. 2 beers is 1 entry.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll send up to 4 entries, which will be 8 beers. So the box size depends. But I'll wrap them all 3 times individually, put them in a box lined with the big bubbles.
Right.
Crumbled up newspaper for the gaps. Tape it off well. Print off my own label. That's what's going to cost you, is the label.
Right.
And then I drop it off, and bada bing, bada boom. Make sure you check your dates and times. You don't want that beer sitting around too long.
Right.
And then they take the rest there. So what actually happens at these competitions is they have no idea who you are. That's why it can't be marked or anything like that. It doesn't matter if you're sending it to your local homebrew or you're sending it across the country. They're not going to know who you are. They're going to get this kind of a score sheet, and you're scoring out of 50 points, and they're going to judge things from aroma, appearance, flavor, mouthfeel, overall impression. They're going to give you a score out of 50 points, and they'll break it down. The best part about going into a competition, Matt Paulson, is they will break it down.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. They will inspect your bottle to make sure it's clean, to make sure you filled it properly, make sure it's not leaking, make sure you don't have sediment. They want it to look professional. They want it to look good. It doesn't matter if there's yeast at the bottom, though. That's not an automatic losing point. So you can bottle condition for competitions. That's fine. There are professional breweries, too, that will have still yeast sediment at the bottom. And it will warn you, don't pour the whole bottle out. But they'll inspect the bottle. They'll do their whole thing. And different judges have different techniques.
Okay.
They have different techniques. What I learned, and I had a fantastic kind of judge mentor the first time I did a competition, is I worked backwards. I drank a beer, and out of 50 points, what would this beer have been? And then I worked through my appearance and my mouthfeel and my aroma.
Okay.
To find out what it was. Other people do it the opposite way.
So that's a good suggestion for you guys out there trying new beers or trying
or your buddy's beer, and you want to give them real feedback.
Yeah.
Give them out of a 50.
Yeah.
You can download all these guidelines, by the way. For every style of beer. The BJCP guidelines were updated in 2015. I think they updated from 2016 as well. But they were running on 08 for the longest time. Well, I guess 7 years, because that's the math.
Right.
Download them, and if your buddy's like, hey, I got a new Saison, you can go to the Saison section and be like, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. Your buddy's got a new IPA, and you can just follow. You can just go down a list. And then you can say, hey, out of 50 points, what would I get? And you guys might want to get into judging. Being a beer judge makes you a better beer brewer. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. It's you become not a fan of your beer. You become a critic / worst enemy of your beer, which is not always a great thing, but it's good, especially when you get started to go, I can do better. I can do better.
Right.
So the score sheet will come back like this. They'll give you an average. There's usually about 2 or 3 judges per category. So it's not just one person drinking your beer, and they'll give you, guys, it's fantastic. I tell you, your buddies aren't filling out.
Read some of their feedback. Read some of
your
the
buddies
feedback
aren't filling out this list. Okay, this is for an Irish red I had. 3 out of 3 on appearance. Head pour is big. Light tan, mix of fine and medium bodies. Clear, deep amber color. That's what I'm looking for. Flavor, 16 out of 20. Lost 4 points there. Could work on that.
Right.
Moderate caramel malts. Some sweetness. Buttery toffiness to it, dry on the finish, low hop flavor. So they tell you kind of the things they're looking for and kind of the things that you hit.
Right, yeah. So they're saying the buttery thing. The first thing that comes to my mind would be
maybe I need a rest. Maybe I need a better rest. Maybe I need to crank my yeast up a little bit higher for a couple more days before I cold crash.
Right.
Let it finish out. Or maybe that yeast strand isn't the right yeast strand for this beer.
Right.
So a lot of stuff, guys. We could talk. We'll do a whole podcast someday over our competition feedback.
Yeah.
Not ours personally, but what you can get out of it. I cannot stress to you enough how awesome it is to wait in the mail like a little kid. And sometimes you win things and it's fun and you get your medal, or other competitions I've had have sent gear like glasses or yeast samples or something like that. Fun stuff that you're actually to use and not just some silly medal. But it's a little bit of bragging rights. It's a little bit of fun stuff. But you got to lose two cups of or 2 pints of beer to do it. That's not that big a deal.
Right.
It takes time. And once you're registered on these accounts, these websites, these competitions, it's easier to do it the next year. But
Right.
my one recommendation for new brewers, new people that want to do this, and if you guys have questions about this, please let us know. We'll walk you through the whole process because it is daunting at first. Is when you fill out your info sheet, they'll ask you your grain bill, they'll ask you your boil times, they'll ask you
Oh, so they
everything.
want your recipe.
Yes. You don't have to give it, but I recommend on your first couple, you write everything down.
Okay.
Because the judges has access to that while they're doing it or after they're doing it, and they can give you direct feedback of, hey,
Even more feedback.
yes,
Change
I
this
noticed,
amount of grain.
I
or-
noticed this because maybe this yeast strain is notorious for that.
Right.
So don't skimp on that. Don't be like, I'll just give it a fun name. No, give it the info. They love the info.
Right.
And you guys will love it too. So beer competitions, overwhelming. Don't be overwhelmed, Matt Paulson. You're sweating bullets right now, buddy.
I'm nervous. I'm really
Don't be
really
nervous. We're going to send some stuff out here at the end of the month. We're going to get some feedback back on it. We would be willing to BJCP judge some of your stuff. If you guys don't want to send a competition, we'll do a handy homebrew show, BJCP judging for you, walk you through some of the guidelines that you want.
Sure.
And we can express more. If you want, contact us, handyhomebrew.com. Go to our contact page, and we'll talk about a way to get a hold of your actual homebrewed beer without you walking to my front door and scaring my wife. That's a whole different problem.
It is
there.
kind of crazy.
So check it out. Check out the website.
Right.
Check out some local competitions and look at the schedule and send one or two of them in to state fairs, local homebrew competitions, or breweries put on competitions.
Yeah, just
It's
try
fun.
it out.
It's fun, guys.
I'm going to do it. So
Yeah.
I'll be the first
Matt
time.
Paulson can do it. Anybody.
Anybody can do it.
Matt Paulson, that covers competitions.
That does.
That's all we got for competitions. But we are, what do we got?
Pints and Picks.
It's time for Pints and Picks. It's episode 14. We just talked about how to get into competitions. Let us know if you got questions. Check out handyhomebrew.com. Fill out our contact sheet. Go to our forums. We'll walk you through the whole thing. But right now, it's our favorite segment of the show.
Pints and Picks.
It's Pints and Picks. Today we got a local brewery blowing up in the last 4 years. Wichita
Definitely.
Brewing Company. These guys are all over the place. They started with a small pizzeria
Yeah.
and barrel and a half brewing system, I think. They're very
Yeah, it was
small.
small.
They got 2 restaurants and a distribution location now.
Yeah.
These guys are blowing up. Kyle is the head brewmaster over there. They're doing awesome stuff. This is one of their first canned beers. This is a huge seller for them. It is
It is the Valley View Vanilla Porter.
Valley View
How
Vanilla.
how could you not like something that said Vanilla Porter?
And look at how great this can design is, man.
Yeah.
I believe a local artist is helped them with all their logos, but gorgeous design. It's bold, it pops. I love the yellow and gray. So today we're pairing our Valley View Vanilla Porter by Wichita Brewing Company with another artsy, weird, in-your-face kind of show, and that is the movie of the year last year, Birdman, starring Michael Keaton and Edward Norton. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Oh my gosh, it's such an artsy movie. It's so avant-garde of you. And yes, it is. I thought, wow, Michael Keaton, why would they pick him to be in this movie? He hasn't had a career for so long. He rocks his shit in this movie. Him and Edward Norton, it's filmed beautifully. It's gorgeous. It's cerebral. It kind of gets to you.
Yeah.
It's you don't know what to expect of it. It was under the radar, and then boom, it just came out and it just hammered you. I thought it was going to be a superhero movie. It is not a superhero movie. It's kind of twisted. It's kind of fun. It's got family in it. It's got evolution of characters. It's got questionable tactics and stuff. So I recommend you grab your hands on Birdman starring Michael Keaton because he is amazing in this movie. Michael Keaton, big fan of the show. We love you, big dog. Okay.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, I think you've seen one of our Pints and Picks. Hey, but he's seen the world's fastest Indian.
Yeah, and Varsity Blues.
Oh my God, it smells
I
so
know.
good.
It smells so good. This is probably one of my favorite beers that they do. I mean, just black as night.
Oh, black as
just
night.
black as night. Really good
It's
head
so rich.
retention.
It's very subtle with vanilla at the end. It's not you're licking a fragrance candle.
Oh, no.
It's very subtle with
No.
there's a little sweetness of that vanilla aroma and taste at the end. It's very clean. It's a very smooth beer too.
Smooth, roasty, A little bit of chocolate, not huge.
Not a huge, but they got that dark malt in there. You can really pick that dark malt. I got to get some more of this, man, Paul. This one is fantastic. This is probably my favorite. They do a lot of seasonals too that are a lot of fun at Wichita Brewing. But out of their mainstays, this is probably my favorite that they have.
Yeah.
So I would say you can't go wrong with
No.
Valley View Vanilla Porter by Wichita Brewing. Check out Birdman. Grab yourself a vanilla porter. You're in for a treat on both of them. Thanks for watching the Handy Homebrew Show.
Definitely.
We got to go record the Handy Homebrew podcast now. Today we're talking yeast.
We are.
It's episode 2 of the Handy Homebrew podcast. Check us out on the website. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, feedback. Come check out our forum.
Right. And remember, we're not homebrew experts.
We're homebrew enthusiasts.
Homebrew enthusiasts.
Cheers.